So when we are now live on YouTube and Twitch, so if anybody has any questions over there, they can type it in the chat. I can pull it up on our screens. We can see it live. Both of you have the option to see the actual public chat on the side. I'm not sure what it looks like on your guys' side. Um, but Susan, it looks like you've already used the chat. So
Yeah, I did, just to let you know I was going out and coming back in.
Thank you.
you guys let me know when you are 100% ready, and I'll go ahead and start too.
I just sent the message out, so we'll see if anybody jumps on.
I don't. Let's see if I can see. All right, yeah. Normally, I'm not allowed to go live on TikTok at the same time, but I found a loophole to be able to use two cameras at once. And so we're live. That's where the main audience is. We've got 15 people in the live currently.
I think we're ready whenever you are, Tyler. Thank you.
All right, let me clear this. All right, we'll go ahead and start. Thank you for joining me on Did You Die podcast.
Thanks for having
Today's guest is Constance and Susan, who are the director and producer of The Afterlife Beyond the Light. I guess my first question.
Did he disappear?
Mm-hmm. I'll probably come back on here in a second.
Always technical problems. You okay?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you doing?
Okay. Kind of funny.
I will get there.
I wonder if he realizes he's not on any longer.
I don't know. Should we drop him a message? Let me see. Maybe drop him a message, Susan, if you can. Oh, wait, I don't want you to lose. Let me see if I can find him here.
I can drop him a message from my MacBook. Find his.
Oh, good.
I just found how I can do this, so hang on a second.
Oh, okay. Hello to everyone watching. Guess we could talk about the film.
Do you think we're still live?
I have no idea. Maybe. Oh, I think he's popping. Oh, hi. Tyler, we lost you.
Here or not here?
Oh, you're here now. Yeah.
All right. Well, I can't see myself. Which there we go. Well, that's unfortunate. All right. Let's try this again. I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
Thank you for joining me on the Did You Die podcast. All of that was recorded, so I guess I can skip that. My first question is, what got you into this subject? What pushed you to make this documentary?
Susan, do you
We
want to go
start with
first?
whoever.
Well, I've always been interested in, or I would say, the older I've gotten, the more interested I've become in the topic of death. And I've followed a number of spiritual teachers for years. And so when Constance asked me if I would like to make a documentary with her, I jumped at the chance, of course. And it's it's a topic just become more and more interested in as we explore it.
It's a kind of a unique conversation. When the first time I talked to Susan, it was post interview for an entirely different film project that she was interviewing me for. It was a fiction based film. And then in the first conversation, we started talking about our combined interest of near death experience stories and how the culminating factors of those stories excited both of those, because it seemed like there was a through line that was meaningful. And I had just finished a documentary project. She had asked me what the next step was, and it seemed like, because that was the conversation and kind of an odd one for a first dialogue with somebody, that we should just go ahead and keep going, pulling that thread.
It was serendipitous.
What? Like I remember my first introduction to near death experiences and how I got introduced to it. Do you guys remember that rabbit hole?
We missed the question in large part, Tyler. It was a bit of a tech, but I think I got the gist of what you were asking. For me, in my early 20s, I had a couple of experiences, maybe I was only 19 or 20 actually, where I largely felt like I was more than this body, and this world is something that I don't totally understand. And I'm not saying that I do now, but it got me thinking, about more about spirituality and purpose. And I think as you kind of start thinking more lines on that, you come across books or you see content that makes sense to dive into. And so, I would come across this, and then I would want to watch the whole NDE story. And then after I'd seen maybe 7 or 8 of these things, or someone would tell me about an experience that they had with a dying loved one. And then I realized, gosh, a lot of people aren't talking about this because they don't want to be judged or whatever for it. But the reality is, when you are open to it and you start doing some digging, it all looks very similar in terms of the trajectory of the story. And so I think that particularly because the story is so powerful and the meaning is so powerful, that regardless of sort of nobody wanting to talk, very few people wanting to talk about, I think the dialogue is important. So I kind of got from, the how I got introduced to, why talk about it.
And I think for me, I was very close with my mom's mother, my grandmother's stepper, and she died in 1989. I was 31, and I had never had any sort of spiritual experience at all. And I was meditating one day, and Grandma came to me. She had to have a leg amputated right before she died, and she came to me, I guess in a vision, and she was standing in a field, and she told me she was okay. And that's probably when I really started digging deeper.
I didn't know that.
I'll bounce off what Constance said was that there's so many experiences out there that are that coexist with each other, right? That they're so similar, but a lot of people are afraid to share these experiences. And I've come to realize doing what I do, I listen to people who aren't on a podcast, right? I do these TikTok lives, and I have everyday, ordinary people with these extraordinary experiences who share for the first time. And I realize that they don't share because they get labeled or they're scared of being judged or the cases. And yeah, it's not talked about, and it should be talked about that way. It allows others to come forward and share their experience. And I think the more people share their experiences, the more we can accept these documentaries that you guys did. Watch these documentaries with an open mind and open heart to try and understand what is happening and that these experiences are happening. Whether you believe them or not, people are having these experiences. So I think it's important what you guys are doing. I watched the film. I'm not gonna lie, I probably watched it 4 times. I might be an overachiever, but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the way that you did it, and you applied the ballet art to it. Also, that was pretty artistic. I love what was your idea behind that? Behind the dance?
The idea behind the dance was that I was totally stuck. I didn't know how to make this not a Talking Heads documentary, and it deserved to be more than that. And I didn't know how to make these experiences come to life in a way that didn't make them feel like they were encapsulated in this very strong way, which didn't feel like the experience itself. And so it was trial and error. I tried to do some animation. I tried to do some really different things, about 2 or 3 different renditions of how I could sort of try to portray these stories. And it didn't work out. And so then I was just, I think the best things come when you're not pushing. And so I just allowed some time to pass. And the idea of modern dance came to me, and a couple emails later, I ended up with this incredible modern dancer named Elizabeth Ramsey. And she was such gosh, what an incredible find and collaborating partner. She found all the dancers and then choreographed all of the pieces. And I just feel incredibly lucky to have found her, because she made that part of the whole thing, once it was identified that seemed like a good fit, she made everything really smooth.
I found it like that. It was awesome. So I'm assuming you gave her all the clips of everything, minus the clips that we see of dancing right in it, and then she just made this piece to go with the whole movie.
Actually, I didn't even have all of the clips. Like it wasn't edited fully. It was so all she had was the written form. So I gave her the written form a few days beforehand and I said, "Elizabeth, I know this is kind of strange." She's like, "No, I got you." She's used to living in an abstract world with her art. And so I said, "Can you please, and create based on these pieces of short paragraphs." And then I would read them aloud while they danced to it to try to get the timing right. And then Felipe, who is the editor and an absolute pro and amazing, really worked to get the timing so that the story unfolded with the dance.
I thought it was really cool. I think it makes it unique compared to other near-death experience documentaries. I also find it something that makes it different also is a lot of people don't talk about shared death experiences. That's not a topic that gets brought up. Um, we can talk about that a little later. You spoke with Raymond Moody and William Peters, experts in near-death experience and shared death experiences. What was it like sitting with them um, and just seeing who they are and their expertise and their experiences? What was that like?
William Moody is like combining incredible wisdom with childlike curiosity. He's just an absolute gem of a human. And there's no feeling like he's the godfather of this space, essentially, but there's no feeling of hierarchy or any of that stuff. It's just communication, community. It was such a fun day. And um, he's I think been doing this the longest. So he's heard thousands of these things, and still, and yet, he wants to maintain a certain amount of skepticism to see if he can talk himself out of all of if there's any way that this could be wrong. And I just value that so much. He said, "I've seen the pattern thousands of times, but I'm still open to the concept that I could be wrong." And the continuation, the desire to learn while also be in deep fascination makes him magic. And William Peters, I admire because the shared death experience, I think, is harder for people to want to dig into for whatever reason. I think it's because somebody's actively dying in the process. I don't know what it is, or it's a newer kind of thing that's being talked about, but it's so normal in a sense because so many people have experienced these, whether it's uh, feeling a dying loved one exit the body or witnessing the dying loved one have communication with somebody on the other side before they die. These kind of things happen so often. But we're just now starting to be open about that. And I respect William Peters because, like anybody in this space, he could have had an easier ride doing something that wasn't in some ways going against social norms, but saying, "I believe that this is real because of all these hundreds, thousands of experiences that have been shared with me. There's something here. So I'm willing to push the envelope." And I just think that's incredibly cool.
I think I think shared death experiences are a huge missing piece of this overall what happens when we die, or are these real, right? Shared death experiences show us that it's not a product of your brain dying or chemicals in your brain or DMT or whatever the skeptic will use, um, because that's not what's happening to the person who's experiencing these things. So I find it um, that it goes side by side with the near death experience, and it needs to be vocalized and shared and explored just as much as near death experiencers, because like I said, it allows us to step away from the thought that these experiences are just product of a dying brain, right?
I fully
Susan,
agree, Tyler.
just go ahead.
Yeah. I just want to say something about that really quickly, is that, the culminating factors of both of those experiences are the same or very similar in nature. So I do think that it's interesting that because the person who's the observer and not the dying person isn't experiencing physiological trauma, that it gives more clarity to the commonalities of the two. Yeah, I think that you said it perfectly.
So, did you get to work and see and meet with Raymond and William?
Unfortunately, no. I was still working full-time then. I have interacted quite a bit with William Peters, but I would love to have met Raymond Moody. He just comes across on the screen as a lot of fun and very thoughtful. So, but yeah, no, I did not get to meet them.
Do any of you you said you just did a podcast or a sit down with IANS. Are any of you guys going to the yearly conference this year?
No, we had hoped to be able to show the film at the conference, but by the time we found out about it, they were already completely booked, so we're not going there.
It's possible. I may go
Just to be there.
Mhm.
Hopefully, I'm hoping to do media there, to cover media. So hopefully, if you go, I'll see you.
That'd be
Hopefully
great.
that media pass will get approved.
It'd be nice to meet in person.
For sure. So what are you've been in this realm, this subject for a minute. What are some things that you found out? Is there anything new that you come to realize or learn through this experience?
Susan, do you want to start?
I can. I didn't know really anything about shared death experiences when we started, and I find it fascinating that some of the stories that were told to us about shared death, are just amazing. Like some people had said, and unfortunately, there aren't any videos of people talking about their shared death experiences. There's like there are people talking about them, but no videos, so we couldn't include them in the film. But they talk about being able to walk through the tunnel of light up to a point. They talk about the room changing. They talk about seeing someone that has died that comes to them, several states away. So that, and the lady who started out as an atheist in the film, I found her very moving because it totally changed her perspective. And, I don't know that I was afraid of death, but I really, um, am not anymore after all of this, because I just feel like there's something else out there, and I'm looking forward to whatever it is.
I'd like to, piggyback on what Susan said. I'm not afraid of death anymore either. And I would say that I'm more excited about the day to day of life because I see more purpose in it. And I've started to see, these experiences more and more as a travel narrative. Uh, Ever since I had the ability of making any money, I'd take it and like go somewhere, just go out of the country and I thought at some point that would stop, and it just doesn't. I just have to go. And I think part of this is the interest in this is it's the most epic travel narrative that I know of. And then when you hear a travel narrative like somebody going to Rome or somebody going to Paris or Morocco or wherever, there's usually places that they say that they go. If they go to uh, you know, Paris, then they see the Eiffel Tower or the Louvre and it's the same thing with these experiences. They say that they see um, the guide and the deceased loved ones and the end of life review and the light and the overwhelming presence of joy and all of these things that you're like, okay, well, how is that much different than if everybody says these things? How is that so different than the travel narrative of Paris? Um, and so I like to think of it like that because it's just one potential extension of our adventurous ride. I don't see it that differently these days. Also, uh, I think that there can be an assimilation challenge for people who've experienced this and then come back and wonder what to do with it, um, with their lives. And what I've kind of come across for myself, um, and I want to caveat with saying, like, I'm not saying I'm excellent at this by any stretch of the imagination, but what I've come to for myself is that the moments of our lives are like a spiritual opportunity. And the end of life review really, in everything that everyone says, it comes down to that for me, that each moment is an opportunity awaiting us. And there's so much noise that can pull direction away from that opportunity. But that's what it has come to for me.
I think you and I are on the same page with everything you said. You know, you lost the fear of death, and by losing the fear of death, you kind of learn how to live. And I've I get people in the comments all the time when I do this on a day-to-day basis. They're like, why are you talking about this? Like, so what? Or, so what? There's an afterlife, or whatever the case is. Why just live your life? Um, and I normally my response is like to learn about death is to learn how to live, or at least be able to live, right? So why do you want to learn about death? Because it allows you to find purpose in life, that there is a purpose in life. Um, and like you said, is for me, I'm in the same boat, I suppose, is the end of life review. In my opinion, it all boils down to that. Like everything we do, life in general, whatever's going on here, ultimately boils down to that life review. That is where the learning and understanding, and if you want to call it judgment, seems to be taking place. Um, and by learning that, we learn how to treat one another, right? So learning about near-death experiences help us uh, in our day-to-day lives and how to treat one another.
Tyler, I think, yeah, Absolutely. And what I think another powerful takeaway of that life review is, well, at least for me, is that it's not punitive in sort of a, the way it can be viewed through a religious standpoint sometimes. And I'm not being prescriptive or saying anybody should believe anything. But what people say about the life review is that they're kind of reviewing themselves through seeing through seeing the unfolding and understanding how we potentially made people feel great or terrible or all of these, that we get to be the judge and jury. We see it and we know how to be better players in this life based on that. But I love that it's not this fire and brimstone thing. It's that we feel it, we know it, and that's enough.
I think something I bring up often is if I punch someone in the face and I go to jail, well, I don't know why I'm in jail. I don't. All I know is that I punched you and I can't do that. But if I punch you and I feel that, now I understand. Like, for me, that's the only thing that makes sense is if I feel what I do, then I can truly learn what I did. Because if not, then I truly don't know why I'm here or being punished or whatever the case is. I think something, when you hear enough near-death experiences, or at least enough life reviews, you see that there's different ways life reviews can be shown. Um, I've heard many of shown through the eyes and emotions of the people they affected or interacted with. I've seen a few through the how do I, like, someone was shown because they hold resentment towards this one person, in which they never talked to. They just had this strong jealousy towards. They got to see how those thoughts affected and rippled, right? And so it wasn't just this interaction; it was your thoughts that are energy also, which cause your actions. Whether you talk bad about somebody, or you don't talk about them at all, or you make judgments based on this one person, whether you help them do something at work or you don't help them do something at work. Along with, and another perspective of the life review that I find that there's a good teaching in is, I've heard a few life, and I have to be careful with how I say things, but I've heard a lot of life reviews shown to the person of, like, people who harmed them, growing up, like abusers or somebody who just didn't treat you very well growing up, and that person who held this hatred and resentment towards this person and themselves got to the life review of that person that they kept in their mind their entire life, and often in those experiences they got shown that those people also have a past also. People are a product of their environments. Things, hate fuels hate, right? Hate, what's the term?
Hurt people hurt people.
There you go. Yes, hurt people hurt people hurt people, and we see that in life reviews. Is that sometimes when people hurt us, and we hold this grudge towards this person, which is understandable. This is why I'm saying it's like, gotta be careful with what I say. But this is just through my findings in life reviews, is that the purpose of getting the life review of that person is to find compassion for that person eventually, which helps us let go of this weight that holds us down. So I think there's a lot to learn about compassion and letting go of the past through near-death experiences. Like I said, it's hard to. You got to be careful what you say. You can't. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, and I wonder, for my own journey in this, I think what you said is beautiful, and it's kind of getting into a larger picture of I really do feel like what you hold is created more in your world. So if your internal world is holding anger or is holding jealousy, you're gonna or whatever it is, love, compassion, you're gonna see it more reflected in your outer world. And I have not been great at that at points in my life. I'm sure I'm going to have some very cringe-worthy moments in my life review. And even now, just in little moments now, I think I'd like to think I could get past some really crazy, hurtful things that but I can see, oh my gosh, I really could have been more open, tolerant, all of these things. And, but oh, there was a big circle back that I wanted to. Oh shoot, I'm sorry I lost it.
Susan, was there something you were trying to say? I couldn't tell if you were.
No, but I agree with Constance. Listening to the lady talk about when she had hurt her sister. I mean, I know that there are moments in my life where I have hurt people, and you know, it really is, if we can learn from it and not do it again, I think that's the only thing that we can take away from it, is to just be a better person.
And Tyler, I remember actually what I wanted to say, something that I'm working through now with the compassion and forgiveness, because I think that is so important. But I also don't think that means that we have to stay in a dynamic where we accept it. Abusive behavior. We can recognize it, that everybody has a history, and forgive and relinquish. But I don't think that means that we need to be guinea pigs for that dynamic.
Absolutely. Um, Someone said a couple weeks ago, and is stuck with me very well, is that you can love a tiger, but you don't have to get in a cage with it. You know, we can pray for these people. We can hope for the best. We can hope they lose that grip they have on fear. I think there's only two things in life, and that's love and fear, right? Everything is energy, and an energy is on a spectrum. It's it's either love or fear. Everything we do is out of those two things, and we can hope and pray that they find their way up that spectrum, back to love. Um, but we also don't have to sit here and accept. We can teach and help grow these people. I was gonna say some earlier. Oh, I try to, once again, these like experiences teach us things. The messages that are consistent on the other side on these experiences literally teach us how to live. I often go back to Carlos Vivas. I don't know if you know his near-death experience. He drowned off the coast of Hawaii, but he had an encounter with Jesus, and he was told to come back with a message, right? To share what you learned here, and he was told to share three to to live life freely. You needed to do three things, and these three things were to forgive your parents, for they did the best they could with what they had. Forgive your younger self, because that's all you had. You didn't know any better. And to forgive those who wronged you. And he didn't say this, but likely because they haven't done the first two. But by doing this, you take the weight off your shoulders. You break those chains that are holding you back, and you can view all of that with compassion, and it's quite literally how you can live freely. So the messages from the other side, alongside with these life reviews, help us, I think, understand what compassion truly means and love thy neighbor truly means.
Beautiful, Tyler.
His experience was very powerful. I did watch his near-death experience.
And he's a genuine guy. He has so many other Carlos actually runs the second largest near-death experience group on Facebook, and I'm sure you're both in it. I'm not sure. It's called Beyond Near-Death Experiences.
Yeah.
All right. So it's to my understanding. Who did you get to set with anybody other than Raymond and Williams, and talk with anybody aside from them?
The dancers, of course, and then I had reached out to the Coming Home channel for the experiential side, and then they gave me access to clips for that. And unfortunately, like Susan said, there's just not a lot videoed in terms of shared death right now. And so for that, it was more combining stories that are in book form through William Peters or in prose that have sort of throughout time around the world that have been shared, and then having the dancers, show that.
With your discussion with the dancers, what was that like? Are they informed on your death experiences? Did they know this was possible? If they did, like, what were their thoughts on them? If they didn't, then what were their thoughts on learning about it? Like, those are everyday people,
Yeah, I think, yes. I think it's such a good question because I went into the whole thing a little nervous, are they going to think like I'm this lady with three heads sort of thing? But, you know what I mean? But, no, they were incredibly receptive. If they had anything outside of that, they didn't share it with me. And I think in general, they operate in an art form that's not incredibly linear. And so, I think we all swim in our own paradigms. And then the deeper we get entrenched in those paradigms, the more our echo chambers reinforce those paradigms. And so, if you're deeply entrenched in your paradigm, you might not, and your paradigm doesn't include this kind of thing, you might be not receptive at all. But what I found with people who are in the arts, particularly in the arts where they're constantly diving into new worlds, their paradigm is less densely formed. So they're more open. And that's what I found with them. Really incredibly receptive.
For sure. I like how all of it was pieced together, that you were able to take, I'm sure it made it slightly easier, but you were able to piece the Coming Home podcast and weave that into the entire documentary, which has a good production also. So I thought that was really
grateful for them for letting us do it.
For sure.
Our budget was limited, so it made a huge difference.
They do an incredible job at the way they do things. Having these people come physically and share their experiences, and just the production of that. That's kind of some inspiration for myself because they do it so well. and they get those experiences. Let's go into some final questions for both of you. Well, let me ask you: is there anything that you would like to say? Is there anything that you want to get out?
Well, for me, I just hope that people find the film hopeful, and because it is a dark time right now, not just here but all over the world. Um, but I don't see it like that. I have a lot of hope, and I hope folks come away from the film with hope and a better understanding of who they are.
I'd like to reinforce what you said, Tyler, about moving through and understanding some of these post-death components in order to understand life better. I think that's a really important statement, and I think digging into the experience of, the death phenomenon, shared death, near death, it takes a little bit to really see the patterns, to appreciate the life review, to understand what that means, and have it to be, I think, to have it be come to that hopeful state instead of being like, well, if it's so great, what on earth are we doing here? Why are we here if it's so? And I think that's just besides the point. I think we have an opportunity to be here. And regardless, and I also love what you said about letting everything go. Okay, so we may have made imperfect choices, but now we have an opportunity in this moment to do something new. And I think these experiences allow us to understand on a more deep level what that means.
All right, I wanna do something differently. I haven't really done this on the podcast. I do this on my lives all the time though. So the structure of my lives is, um, these experiences are so common. They're happening, to a lot of people, more people than what our statistics are telling us, right? It says 25% of people who have cardiac arrest have near-death experiences. But how many are truly sharing with us, right? And how many are subduing them and not sharing? And it seems for me, by just going live on TikTok, I can get so many people to share their experiences or come forward with experiences that it's almost as if there's more than 25% of people having these experiences, if not like half of people. And some don't understand it, some don't. Whatever the case is, I can literally go live on TikTok and have someone who has had a near-death experience in 10 minutes, doom scrolling TikTok, right? But in between that, when I don't have somebody or enough, everybody has shared their experience or whatever the case is, I'll do random co-hosting where it'll just go find somebody who is also just trying to find someone random to talk to. And so I'll do that, and I'll go talk about death with them. This is where the why do we want to talk about death? That's so gruesome, yada yada. Just go live your life type things happen. So I want to do this kind of like rapid fire type of thing that I do with those people, with you guys.
Right.
So basically, typically starts out like this. What do you think happens when we die?
Well, I think what happens is that our energy just changes shape, changes form, and I mean, that's just me. Everybody has their own opinion, but that's what I believe. And you know, whether there's what that looks like or anything else, I don't know, but that's what I believe.
Susan, do you think we can reincarnate?
I do, yes.
Do you think it's your choice or something else's choice?
I hope it's our choice. God and I've been talking about that recently.
Do you think that you can incarnate as an animal?
Yes,
What about a plant?
sure. It's all energy.
Do you believe in aliens?
I do.
Do you think you can incarnate as an alien life form?
I do. All of my friends are going to start texting me. I can, I can see it now.
What do you think the purpose of overall life would be?
Well, I think it's definitely for us to learn to love and to come back to ourselves. I have a saying that I do every morning when I get up that starts off, I am a being of light, daughter of the Mother, Father, God. I believe that, and I believe that's who we are.
What what is your what is your definition of what is God to you?
Everything. Um, I mean, I think that God, universe, source, whatever you want to call it, is in everything and in each of us.
Um all right. Next. Constance, what do you
Yes.
think happens when we die?
I feel strongly that it's a continuation and that we sort of pick up where we left off, but with the growth or non growth that was experienced in the last ride.
Do you think we reincarnate?
Yes, but I don't necessarily think it's, I would say, I think our energy moves forward. Yes. I don't know that we always reincarnate, and I think that we may not even. I'm sure that we can't even grasp of what all the potentialities of that would look like.
If we do reincarnate, do you think it would be your choice?
I think I would have a say in it given all of the factors. I think that we probably have a lot of understanding and then maybe make a choice for the greatest growth. I don't really know, but that seems in line with a lot of the things that I've heard.
Do you think we can reincarnate into animals?
Um, I don't know. I do think that there is a process of higher learning, and things are vibratory in nature. And so I'm not sure that that is the case. Um, I think the next question is aliens, and I don't know. I think alien is anything that's not known to us. And I think that something not known to us is possible.
What about plants?
Um, I don't know. Is the truth. I would say inherently. I want to say it's possible because we're energy, but I think we do maintain a sense of, even though I think we're all inherently one source, we do have I feel like we have a flavor of that source, a growth of that source. And in the continuation of that source, I think we will evolve into bodies or things that are the truth is I don't know, but I don't think so.
And I think you already covered it really in that statement. But what is your definition of God?
Intelligence, um, love, systems, actually. I think there are rules, but even when we're going through the hard things, that it's all moving in the direction of the greater good for us. And the release into the process of that allows more of that thing called God.
All right, thank you for playing my little TikTok games. Where can one find the film if they wanted to watch it?
Well, it's on, right now, it's on Prime Video, Apple TV, YouTube, and Constance, you can talk about, it's coming to other platforms later.
Yeah, I think, the most people find it to be easiest for Amazon. Leave us a review. Most people have Amazon. That's really helpful for us. If you, however you feel about the film, leave a review, and we would really appreciate that. IMDb, if you could rate the film, and then all of the platforms Susan spoke to. We just heard from the distributors that it will be streaming on Gaia starting in July. So we're super excited about that. If you're a member of Gaia, you can find us there. And there'll be other places that we're streaming, but we just started this 3-month window of rental. So we don't know what that looks like quite yet. The distributor is figuring that out for us at the moment, but we know Gaia, and right now, please rent on Amazon or Apple, and leave us a review. Let us know what you think.
Is there any plans for something else in this realm?
I really love how science meets spirituality in general, where we get to the edge, whether it's quantum physics or every science gets to the edge, where you start to unravel these bigger things. So I think we've talked about doing a podcast that's of that nature. We also have talked about a feature film that is tangential to this.
The answer is yes.
Yes.
Well, I can't wait.
Good.
I like to watch all the documentaries. Like I said, I feel like it by learning about death and listening to the messages from the other side, we learn how to live and what we're here, what our purpose is here, and how to do that. So I think it's very important. I don't think you can put out too many documentaries. I think you can put not enough out there. So I enjoy, or I'm excited to see what you guys come up with again and put out there. Susan, if you had one last message for the world, what would it be?
Watch our film and make up your own mind about what you believe.
And Constance, if you had one last message for the world, what would it be?
I I think enjoy the ride, try to live in the moment, and I think we're much bigger than this sort of body, or and it's easy to get caught up in things that we might want or that we feel like we need to be, but it simplifies it when you just stay right here and try to be a good person.
And I'll share mine. My message is always to love yourself so you can love others, because when we love others, they can love themselves. And that's how we change the world, is loving one another.
Absolutely.
I appreciate both of you for reaching out, first of all, to come on here, and for joining us. And hopefully we can do this again, and hopefully we'll see each other at the IONS conference. Hopefully, we'll see. We'll see what plays out.
Tyler, thank
Yes,
you.
thanks so much.
It's been a real pleasure.
All right. I hope you guys have a fantastic day. It is 1:11. Just FYI, for me at least.
For us too. No, it's 2:11. Yeah, 2:11.
Well, let's pretend you're in the same time zone.
Okay.
Anyways, I appreciate you coming on here. I hope you guys have a fantastic day and a week and life, and I love you both, and this has been fun.
Love back to you, Tyler. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, I'm going to end everything, but don't close this platform or this page or whatever. Allow it to upload the rest of the way, and it should tell you when we're done. If it's uploaded 99%, like mine says 99% uploaded right now, but allow it to complete upload wherever it may say for you, and that way the recording gets sent all the way through.
Perfect. Yeah, it says 70% on my end.
Yeah, just give it a little bit, and that way we don't lose any footage.
That felt really natural. Thank you so much for your great questions and for your insights.
Absolutely. Hey, if you guys are interested, like, come find me on TikTok. That's where we do most of the lives. And like I said, these are ordinary people with extraordinary experiences. So these aren't, one of the main goals here is a skeptic will be like, well, that person's just trying to sell a book. But the goal is to show that this person isn't trying. All these people aren't trying to sell books, right? And they're not even trying to get attention. They're just here to share their experience and leave. They're not trying to convince you of anything. So I find it's really cool. They're not trying to sell a service. They're not trying to sell a book. They're sharing their experiences and leaving and coming out of hiding because they've been scrutinized before or haven't told anybody in their life their experience because of that. So I think it's really powerful. I love what we do on TikTok, and I invite you guys to come find me over there.
Yeah, we will. I think it's really cool and important what you're doing, because the more you talk about it or the more other people talk about it, the more that a safe space is created. It's not going to happen overnight, but it takes us all talking.
100%. We got to be comfortable with it. Have you guys read Life After Life?
Yeah.
Yes.
Have you? So we're gonna go. So I kind of still want to talk.
Yeah. Let's talk.
I think there's puzzle pieces to everything, right? So and each piece goes together nicely. That's why this is important, because all these stories go together like puzzle pieces, and when we start putting puzzle pieces together, we start to see the image of life, right? We don't have the corner pieces, we don't have the edge pieces, and maybe there is no edge piece. It goes on forever, but each one of these experiences, each one of these stories, are puzzle pieces. But alongside with near-death experiences, we have shared death experiences. Alongside with shared death experience, we have hospice care experiences. That's alongside, and this is where we get a little iffy and woo-woo, but they still go together nicely. In that puzzle piece is children with past life memories, and then we add in past life regression and life between regression, which still fit together in that puzzle piece. Have you guys, any of you, read Journey of Souls?
No.
No?
Who's the
It's
author?
Michael Newton. He's a life between life regression.
Yeah.
Journey of Souls. So the thought is, have you ever heard of past life regression?
Yes.
Yes.
So it's essentially past life regression, right? I take you back to the death of your previous life. For Michael Newton, he realized that at that moment of death in your previous life, you could jump slightly ahead, right? Basically heaven, what most would call heaven, right? He realized that these thousands of people were all saying the same thing also, and basically created this map structure of the afterlife. The life review, choosing your next life, going into your next life, what we're doing here, all these things. Thousands of people were saying the same things in between the past life and this current life. And he put in each one, I don't know where my camera is, each one is a transcript. That's not a transcript.
Oh, neat.
But you get to.
Yeah. Journey of Souls.
I just looked it up on Amazon.
So I have these 3 books next to on my desk because I think these hold the understanding of life, to be honest. So you have Raymond Moody's Life Between Life, right? Which we hear near death experiences, and this kind of convinces you that, hey, maybe there's something more, right? And then you get into Journey of Souls, which allows you to understand the afterlife and why we're here and what we're doing. And then, so this third one, have you heard of Dr. Brian Weiss?
I've heard of him, yes.
So if you get into Brian Wise's books, which is the past life regression, right, you start to understand the purpose and truly what like reincarnation is, like playing roles in each other's lives, right? Having soul groups, or a select number of people we come into lives and play different roles, and how sometimes maybe it's possible that things in past lives come into our current life, and that's why we might have this whatever happened that we can't understand why. So these 3 books, for me, if I were to if someone were to come to me and was like, what is this? What are we doing here? I would give them these 3 books. These are my Bibles.
Have you put it out there like that? Because I think it would be really cool. I already know 2. I own one of the books, but I know 2 books that I'm going to get. Have you ever, just to your audience, said, hey, for what it's worth?
100%, all the time. That's
Okay.
That's why they're on my desk. Like, I got a bunch of books back there, but these are if I could get rid of all my books and just keep 3, these would be the 3.
That's powerful. Even just saying that this is it. This is the selection.
What is the name of the Brian Weiss book?
It's Same Soul, Many Bodies, which is the second in this series, and I only say that one just because each chapter is.
Uh-oh, we lost you. I'm still going to hold because I'm uploading.
It's still showing uploading for me too.
Until he comes back, can we talk a little shop?
Sure. I didn't know you were thinking about going to the IAMS conference.
Is it still in the fall?
Yes. I actually want to go out to Seattle to visit with Miriam, you know, my little lady where I'm going to be living. So if you decide that you want to go, I might go with you because I can then visit with them. It's August 27th through 30th.
Maybe, yeah. I think we
Okay.
should figure that out maybe towards the last minute.
That's fine.
Yeah, and because I think there are pretty reasonable flights to Seattle, at least for me. And then we can feel really confident that it's not, you know, we don't have any work or other conflicts.
Okay.
Even just, you said August what, Susan?
27th through 30th.
Maybe I'm going to put it on my calendar to talk with you about it early August.
Okay, that's fine. I
It never sell out, as far as I know, you know?
Yeah. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I thought I would, because they've invited me to come out to Seattle to visit. So if you go, I would like to go.
Okay, great. So I'm going to put to talk to you.
My thing says it's 99% uploading, but yours is not, is showing more, I guess.
Mine's at 86.
Okay. If we're still live, should we be talking shop? Oh, there he is.
Oh, we're not live. I mean, I don't mind everybody hearing us talk shop, but
Okay.
I don't think we're live anymore.
Okay.
Oh yeah, no, we are. I think we are.
We can talk after this if you want.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay. We don't want to give away all of our secrets.
True. You know,
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Now we can see you.
Well, that's unfortunate. All right, what I was saying was Brian Weiss' second book, the one that I showed you. Each chapter is a different person in a different life, or what's the relationship between these lives, or whatever. The first book is Many Lives, Many Masters, which introduces you to this concept. You know, it's based on one client and how Brian Weiss got into the subject. It's not my favorite just because it's just one client. But that second book, like I said, every chapter is a new person, a new lesson, a new reason, a new healing. And you don't have to start from the beginning. I could literally open this up to a chapter and hear someone's past life regression and the healing and the understanding that came behind it.
That's really interesting. I'm excited to read that book.
So is my favorite. One of my favorite. Journey of Souls is my go-to. It's my Bible. It's my resource of knowledge, just on like how afterlife works or what the hell's going on. So I think that's an important one. If we can listen to near-death experiences and take information from there, then I think we should be able to do the same with past or life between life regression, because they say the same things. No matter what your beliefs are, they are sharing the same things, and so I think that's an important key to the puzzle.
What what's been your experience? Do you have any idea? Because from what I got, I only have, a brief window into this afterlife journey of what it seems like the culminating factors. So I'm interested in sort of the gel, like how long are most people in that sort of blissful void? What happens? Can you choose to like stick around there? I don't, I think there's so
Like in
much.
between lives.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure he covers one of these in one of these two books. He covers an average of the time that passes between, and you can take it for what it is. But he comes to realize like an average span of time in between lives was 5,000 to 100 or 500 to 1,000 year span. So it gives us possibly it's unless someone's life was cut short, right, in which they would go back and reincarnate into maybe a past loved one, somebody that would put them back in that scenario or that space to complete whatever task they would like to do or whatever the case was. But like I said, I can't remember who said it, but he said the average span was 500 to 1,000 years old, or 1,000 years span. And I would assume, I don't know. That's just based on regression therapy.
I guarantee you my dad came back right away because he was not ready to go. He was 64. He probably, as soon as he got there, said, I'm coming back now. I fully believe that.
I think another one. So there's something else I ask people often. I will ask, "What is your last message?" Right? And sometimes this is not speaking with anybody who listens to near-death experiences. These are those random, everyday people who didn't expect to talk about death when they connected with me. But they often talk about like, do things for you, do you, right? It'll be kind of a selfish answer and not a humanity type of answer. So my next question then is always, if society knew 100% that reincarnation was a real thing, that we would come back to this earth, you would come back to this society, do you think that society as a whole would, first of all, treat the planet differently, and second of all, treat society different, knowing they were coming back to it?
I think
That's a good question.
it's
Go
a really
ahead, Constance.
question. I think do you and the act better aren't actually opposed. I think that when people abuse or hold, they're actually doing societal norms, or they're really identifying with this like amazing avatar, and so they're feeling like really not enough, or that they have to sit in to be something that they don't want to be. But I actually think that self-love component, if you love yourself, you can love others, leads to authenticity, leads to right action. And if you want to feel good and really do you, you can't like hold on to a lot of anger or all of these things. I've played all of these out. I'm not trying to pretend that I haven't been angry as hell, or that, all of the, but I do realize that that comes back into my world when I sit it with it, or when I sit with resentment. And so if I'm really doing me and I want the best ride, I want to let it go. I got to let that go to get back to that love to feeling good. So I actually don't think that they're going like that. I think they're in the right way, they're going like that. It's just that we don't know how to do self-love. We're not really taught how to do that in our culture well.
Mm, for sure. I think the question is, how do you self-love? How do you love yourself? And once again, this goes back to this goes back to Carlos Viva's near-death experience. It's basically to let go and forgive those who wronged you, forgive yourself, forgive your parents, um,
Yeah.
because you form who you are based on your past. And if you let go of that, you're creating this image of yourself that you're not worthy of this, you're not worthy of that, you can't do this because of that. What the truth is, you can do anything you set your mind to, and by saying you can't do it, you've already set your mind to that you can't do it, right? So what is self-love? And basically it's letting go, it's forgiving. I've heard in multiple near-death experiences is letting go is one of the most powerful things you can do. It doesn't mean you're careless. It means letting go. You're taking that weight off. You're taking those chains off. You are free, because holding on to things uh, prevents you. Um, Holding on to things creates a certain energy also, because they create these thoughts, which thoughts create actions, and those actions create ripples. And so when that is, I don't know, bound to your energy, I guess, it creates these actions that aren't healthy for you and the rest of society, right? And every little thing you do ripples, in my opinion. Energy doesn't die; it can't be created nor destroyed. And that energy, everything that you put out, thoughts, emotions, actions, uh, ripple. And even those, like I said, those thoughts, which you may not let out, you might keep them in your brain. Um, those have energy also.
There's a wonderful show on Netflix called Ripple, and they probably won't renew it because it's not a show that folks are gonna jump on like they do other shows, but it's a really good show about just what you're talking about, the ripple effect, and the people that are in the show all connect in some way and ripple out. I hate that they're probably not going to renew it because it's a really wonderful show. Have you seen that, Constance?
No. But so oftentimes in my own life, if I'm holding on to anger or if I'm holding on to these things, it's not that I don't learn from certain situations, but if I hold it, I don't even have to act on anything. I see it show up in my environment. I see it coming back at me because that's my radio wave. That's the frequency that I'm putting out into the world. And so if I'm actually being my most selfish, truly, then I want to feel really good because and then what the really good comes back to me. And I think that being really actually selfish in a different sense, not like give me this ridiculous, expensive handbag or whatever the heck people think's idea of, but like really on a vibratory level, feeling good. And then I think it's also the most selfless, strangely, because that's when everything can be synergistic. That's been my experience.
So I think that ripple. I think that ripple is what most would call karma, right? So if you, for every one person you have interact with, you affect millions. There's no argument. Like that ripples. Your actions have a chain of reactions. Um, but you know that millionth person, like I said earlier, is energy doesn't die. So if I say something hateful to you, that's energy and it goes to you. Um, you are now in this mood, and you give that energy to the next person you interact with, right? Or it's in your mind and it creates this action, right? Um, so that energy ripples, and eventually maybe you come across somebody on the street who is in a bad mood, and they, I don't know, they cut you off, call you names, and you're like, what the hell was that dude's problem? It turns out you created this negative ripple of energy that eventually came back to you, right? That you created that man's anger in a way, in a sense. Like it took everybody else too, but the energy didn't uh, die. It continued to ripple through people. You know, and we talk about this on the live often, is that energy can't be created nor destroyed, but it can be transformed. And to be self-aware is one of the most important things we can do,
Yes.
because you can transform that energy. You can take that hateful energy and you can either give it back in a loving form, or you can give it back to somebody else in a loving form. Regardless, we are creators or manipulators or transformers, whatever the case is. But you have the ability. I said earlier that energy is on a spectrum, from love to fear. All there is this energy. It's on the spectrum. So you have the ability to transform and move it up the scale or down the scale from love to fear. And so when you get fear, you know, transform that into love and put it back out into the universe. So we start filtering all this fearful energy and putting it back out, and eventually that love will come back to you. And we've transformed all of society just by filtering and being self-aware of energy itself. I hate the word energy just because it gives that woo-woo aspect of things. So if we start talking about vibrations, we're all vibrations, bro. But it's true. Like energy, it's all true, in my opinion.
I think, if you want to, it is just, I think it is true too. If you, we can take it into kind of like more scientific terminology in terms of just waves. Energy being a wave field, like radio waves or microwave. It's a wave, and then the waves go beyond you, and then it's kind of like a channel. So whatever channel your waves are on is what the program that you're inclined to see. But it's that self-awareness that allows you to even recognize whether you're feeling good and open and receptive, or you're feeling angry. And something I'm really working with now too is, I don't think love is just this woo woo sort of everything's cool thing. I think sometimes the most free and open place to be is lovingly boundaried in a way with somebody who's not doing something kind, or somebody who's being manipulative, and just approaching it with earnestness and on. I don't think it's about neglecting all of these things. I actually don't think that's love, and I don't think that feels good.
That's avoidance.
Avoidance. Yeah.
Right? It goes back to like you can love a tiger, but you don't have to get in a cage with it, right? You don't. Um, I think to get into where society is now, you'll see in like politics is my side is right and your side is wrong, and so that makes you stupid. And so because you called me stupid, now I call you dumb. And so now we're just bouncing back this negative energy. We can disagree, but still love each other. You know what I'm saying? We don't have to call each other names. We don't have to put people down. We can have two different opinions and still love each other. Um, we can't. I think one of the most important things is that we can't sit here and complain about how awful the world is and how bad the world is, but then turn around and call those people's names who we think are creating a bad world, because we just created the same energy they put out. So
Mhm.
once again, we can disagree and still put out loving energy. You don't have to get in a cage.
Yeah, I think that's a beautiful and such an important and overlooked thing that you just said. I think
Uh,
to get there, you have to like, I think you can't be too deeply entrenched in the paradigm that you've accepted for yourself. And a lot of that has to do with fear.
Absolutely.
Some I want to share. Mike, who is a regular supporter on my TikToks, who has a pretty cool experience himself. Something he learned in his life review was something as simple as there's two things in his review that he realized are profoundly important and powerful, and that goes as simple as opening the door for somebody, and something as simple as going back and picking up your trash in the movie theater, and how powerful those actions and intentions are, truly. Some we don't think about.
Yeah, yeah. And that's what I think this world can be so confusing because we're taught that we should strive to be like this epic thing, when in reality, it's the moment to moment, those little moments that are so impactful. And there is no there to get to. It's just right here, the opportunity right here.
It's a here and now.
But this world is it's the Maya. It can be very confusing. And that is a constant reminder. For whatever reason, it was at 99% and now it's at 96.
Probably because we continue talking.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
it's still recording, so that's
Okay.
probably the issue. But I think we'll end here so we can finish this up. I'm sure you guys have other things to do. I gotta get off here also.
Yes, it was great. Thank you so much.
I
Love your
will.
T-Rex and your Dino.
That
Yeah, me too.
this is my Did You Dinosaur. It's the Did You Die podcast mascot.
We like him.
Dinos have souls. That's our argument. All right. Well, I love this conversation. I love you guys. I hope to see you again. I'll reach out if I go to Ian's and let you guys know. Maybe we can meet up.
Thank you, Tyler. Thank you for what you do.
Thank
Absolutely.
you.
As
Take
as
care.